Hi, this is Kimberly. Please enjoy our podcast, but remember our doctors are only here to educate, not diagnose. If you have any questions or need any further information, please email me. My email address is kim@mfwellness.org. Hi, and welcome to another episode of the Spine Whisperer podcast. Today with me I have Dr. Joshua Fink and Dr. Brad Maurer, and we are going to be talking about seasonal affective disorder. Enjoy!
Today it's Dr. Brad, myself, Kim. We're short Dr. Matt, who is in quarantine, and he's super, super mad about it. There's very few places on earth that are going to be as unpleasant as wherever he has trapped himself, because oh man is he mad. He feels great. And anyway, so we love Dr. Matt. He'll be back soon. So today, though, what I want to talk about is SAD, or seasonal affective disorder. And back in the 80s or whatever, it wasn't talked about a lot, but now it's ubiquitous in the lexicon of fall. It's that seasonal affective kicking in. And so I'm going to cover it. Dr. Maurer's going to cover it. Kimberly is going to try to read Dr. Matt's part and add some stuff today.
Yeah, we'll see.
Before we
That's
do
like
that,
a first.
though,
This is like a first for Kim.
Yeah,
this is like,
Kim's going to be a professional.
She has her
today.
own part.
Oh, yeah. That's what happens when the person organizing the podcast, if there's somebody drops out, that person takes their parts.
That's right.
So everybody thinks I run the podcast, but now we know. Before that, though, I want to talk about Halloween. A lot of people have asked. Yes, we did beat our record. We got to house 77, and then we were at house 78, but the boys decided to stop there. My son, Jackson, said, 78 is a good number to stop on, because they were tired. They were beat. Now, I want to add that if we went somewhere and they were out of candy, Dr. Fink did not count that house. Now, I told him, hey, we still did the job. And he told me that we weren't here for quote-unquote participation trophies.
Ooh, yeah.
So I went to the back in my spot with my wagon, and I kept my mouth shut. And he ran the show.
It's probably the best thing to
and
do.
I got to tell you that was probably one of the best, if not the best, Halloween of all time. I mean, the families out there in Stonemore and Wentzville, they are ridiculous. It was wonderful. Daylight savings, full moon, 60-something degrees. It was heaven on earth. There were people everywhere. People were socially distancing, a lot of masks, really responsible. People set their candy away from themselves. It just was great. It was really, really well done. I'm really proud of them out there. So
I was in Newtown, St. Charles, and there were shoots all over the place.
Those little shoots, those are cute.
Yeah, they were very cute.
They will distribute your candy from far away.
Yeah, some people were doing it from their second story balcony.
Oh, that's
just
cute.
Shooting it down.
Oh, it is a really good idea. Dr. Maurer should have come with us.
I know.
Did you cry? Were you like, God,
a little bit?
Right
That's
now?
why I didn't want to go out, because my eyes were at that point pretty red.
Yeah. From the crying.
And, it was kind of hard to hide the fact that I'd been crying.
Yeah.
So.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So that's the super fun, great part of the podcast. Now let's get to business. The sun, as I discussed, daylight saving times hit, and now we have less 1 hour of daylight to work with. And usually this time of year, humans, they're linked to the sun. We've been around each other for a very long time. And the pattern that it makes, the amount of sunlight hitting our skin, has a really profound effect on us. We could talk about it biochemically. We use sunlight to convert a form of cholesterol into vitamin D. And we use light in other ways, using that reaction, that mechanism. That's how we get our cold laser therapies. And a side effect of that is that there is hormone production that is linked to and greatly influenced by the amount of sunlight that we get. And so as there's less and less sunlight, those hormones change. And in some people, they're right on the line. And that makes it more difficult for them to stay focused, cause feelings of depression, feelings of anxiety, lethargy. People stop having fun doing the stuff they normally did. All of that stuff is common this time of year. It can get clinically significant to where people are having the wrong kind of thoughts. And so I only want to do a couple things with seasonal affective. I want to spend most of the time talking about how to combat it, what it is, what we can do about it. I don't want to go too much into the biochemistry of it because it's pretty much well elucidated at this point. And then I'll just start nerding out about biochemistry unnecessarily. So what I want to do is define it. What is seasonal affective disorder? It is that loss of energy or that depressive-like state that can manifest when the sun is out less. Or there is an additional one that is the opposite, feelings of mania or hyperactivity when the sun returns to us and daylight savings time ends, in the spring. So it's actually pretty interesting the way that works. I just want people to be aware that is out there too. But what I want to focus on today is how to mediate the effects of what's happening to your body right now as we speak.
So time change is a big factor with a lot of people.
Okay, I like what you got so far.
Yeah, just because now we're all of a sudden in the dark before we leave work.
I was going to say, I know for us
terrible.
Personally, we see patients past 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
So at this point, it's a full over an hour of darkness before we even
it's crazy, man.
get out of here.
Crazy.
So it's a big change when you're driving home. And you're watching the sun's in your eye, and then you go from that to having your lights on.
Am I the only person left on Earth?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's crazy. It is. It's wild.
After researching all this myself, I think I actually suffer a little bit from it.
Yeah.
I think everybody does, really.
I would agree that it affects, people feel the pull. They feel that change. And they're like, I just don't even feel like doing anything right now. It's dark already. Might as well just go to bed.
Yeah,
and
like when it's dark, you feel like going to bed.
That's exactly when I get home.
You're just
during this time, it's like, okay,
what time is it? Midnight? And it's like 5:30.
Yeah.
Whereas summertime, I get home, you go do some yard work or do something.
You're
like
out
that.
for hours.
Yeah, sometimes you get home from seeing patients all day and you can go outside and work for 2 hours.
Yeah.
But now, not so much.
Yeah, and then you couple that, maybe it's rainy,
Cold.
Very
you don't want to be
difficult.
outside anyways.
Yeah.
And then I also saw that the symptoms that people have, they can start off as mild and then get more severe
Really
as the
ramp
season
up.
changes, as it's darker, sooner.
And that's why I wanted to talk about this now, because there's an additional thing going on with this stupid pandemic. People are already upset. They're already anxious. They're already like, oh, man, cold and flu season. They're worried about their kids. Everybody's just worried all over. It is a real ripe emotional scene right now across the world. And so I want to make sure we get this talked about. Like, if this is newer to you, if you feel like it's just hitting you this year, we understand. You're not alone.
There's a lot of other stuff coming into it this year, and then all this.
Yeah, man, it's nuts.
Yeah. And I thought it was kind of funny. It's seasonal affective disorder, and it's sad.
Sad.
And I think people feel sad with it. Like, it's just a little sad to see the sun go down and to feel this
Not even sad. It just disappears.
Yeah.
Like, it just leaves the party early. Like, all of a sudden it's dark. And then Dr. Meyer, you could talk to us about what we can do to combat it.
Yeah.
Because you're not defenseless against this nocturnal menace,
So as you can imagine, I'm going to go over what we would consider natural remedies.
Nice.
Which makes sense for us. But also, I mean, you can search online and you can find, if you search this, remedies, things that'll pop up are going to be medications.
Yeah.
And so we want to talk about the non-medication type therapies here, because there's a lot of things that can be done that are going to help before you have to resort to something like that. So in the first one, and you probably noticed, this is when I ever talk about remedies for anything, this is one of my first things, and that's exercise.
Yeah, man, yeah.
Got to exercise. I mean, we've been talking about it all during the pandemic,
Right.
how important exercise is.
Right.
So just do it. Do your 30 minutes a day for whatever cause you might want, for this or for the pandemic, for just general health,
Anxiety,
whatever
for
reason
any
you
of it.
want.
Anxiety, focus, clarity, hormone production, metabolic boost,
Anything.
sleep better. Like,
Just
exercise
exercise.
is it.
Yep.
It's the one thing that links it all together, Whether you're trying to lose weight, whether you're trying to increase your focus, whether you're trying to get more done in the day. Like, exercise and its various forms, either intensity training or cardiovascular. Like, if you are not exercising regularly, you cannot complain about the stuff that you've got going on.
And I think a lot of people just don't.
They don't link
Get that, yeah.
They're like, well, I'm losing weight by changing what I eat. Okay, but that's not adding one more ounce of muscle. Your metabolism isn't that much better.
And I don't know if this is true, but I almost feel like I hear people exercising less once
Oh,
the darkness comes.
Absolutely.
And I don't know if it's the same thing we talked about. We get home from work and we just don't feel like
You don't feel like
don't
it.
feel like it.
drained.
Or
And then also during the summer, I think there's a lot of things that you can do outside. That's
Other people can see your body.
yeah,
And
that too.
and I know a lot of people have heard this, talking about, it's best to exercise in the morning. And usually I tell people, hey, whatever time you're actually going to exercise, that's the best time I feel. But
That's right.
in this case, I have read some studies where when it comes to SAD, seasonal affective, it is a little better to exercise in the morning as opposed to late in the evening because
That's
it's going to affect.
Yeah, it makes it that much
melatonin.
harder.
Yeah.
You get up, exercise first thing, make your bed and exercise.
Yeah.
Those two things apply a heck of a lot of a domino effect towards making good things happen for you that day. Yeah. That's great.
So, I have a few other things that we talk a lot about, and I won't spend as much time, and then we'll get to some
Is there
some new
you
ideas.
think there's a special, we think the people should focus on more like walking, cardio, or weights, or in terms of like mediating that hormone change?
I like a little both, but I know I would definitely do the cardio.
Yeah.
Make sure you fit in the cardio.
That's what I was thinking too.
But I still like some weight training in there as well.
Because you that one
Resistance training.
The physician there in Wisconsin, they prescribe
Or exercise instead of medicine. Yeah.
and theirs for depression and it was cardio.
Cardio, yeah. I would definitely do the cardio, but I like to throw in some resistance exercise
Heck yeah.
too. Yeah.
Hoist.
And then in addition to that, things we talk about also nutrition. And I don't want to go into a whole lot of detail,
Right.
but listen to our other podcasts when we're talking
Right.
about how to eat
Almost
healthy.
every one of our podcasts has that in it.
Make sure you're getting some.
It's what you do to your body,
If you want some specifics, folate. Make sure you get from vegetables and vitamin D, which kind of lacking from the sunlight.
That's right.
But
You got to get it from your other sources right now.
And then also reducing stress, which I know, like we were talking about right now, trying to figure out a way to reduce stress is a lot tougher than other years.
And because of that, it's even more important that you do the things that mediate the stress response. And your number one stress mediator is going to be cardiovascular exercise. Like there's, everything else is going away.
Another one is trying to get natural sunlight whenever you can.
Yeah.
So I know for us, we are in the office. We do have at least the windows.
The windows.
But, at lunchtime, even if it's just taking a quick walk, get outside, even if it's just for a few minutes, try to get that natural sunlight when you can. Now, here in a little bit, I'm going to give you another option to that. A couple more ideas before we get to my big idea. And that is, I feel like it's important to make sure you interact with other people. And this isn't really something I found online, but I just feel like this time of year, like we're talking about, a lot of people after work, they go home, they don't leave the house again.
Right.
There's, in certain cases, maybe they're stuck by themselves. They just spend more alone time. And that,
Absolutely.
on the depressive side of it, that can
that's a
cause
good
some
idea.
issues. So, and I know, once again, in the times we're in, it's tough to get together with people, or especially groups of people. So I encourage, hey, everybody's been using Zoom at this point, or maybe Skype. So even if you're at home and you're feeling that and you've tried everything else, hey, connect with a friend, try to hop on Zoom or a bunch of friends and interact with them and see how that does. Does anybody have any other ideas before I get into the light therapy that I want to talk about?
No, I think you nailed it. Like for me is like exercise, activity, and then the other things that for humans anyway really helps mitigate, depression, and that's contact with other human beings.
Yeah.
Unless you hate human beings, then it's the opposite.
So with the vitamin D, is there food that has vitamin D that
Yeah, there's lots of them. Salmon, eggs, spinach, most of your leafy greens.
So you can get some of your vitamin D from
Absolutely, from your diet. Absolutely.
Okay.
And we always prefer you to try to get it naturally as opposed, in certain cases you may have to supplement, but we always encourage people.
Some people, that converter doesn't work nearly as well, or you look at people in, look at where they are in relationship to the equator. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Some people, there's a lot more seasonal change than there is than say like Cancun. Like they don't really get a lot of seasonal affective there. They have a name for it in Scandinavia. I can't remember the name for it. I'm sure one of our Scandinavians will correct me and I'll be able to post it. But they literally have a name for that specific time of year when it's just going to be dark all the time now, and it changes people. They have programs there actually for dealing with it, exercise programs and stuff like that socially. It's pretty dang cool.
Yeah, that is. And I think, just stick to your schedule, too. Some of the things we talk about when it comes to sleep, when we do our presentation on sleep, sticking to a schedule, even having a journal, before you go to sleep, writing everything down.
That's it, man.
So,
that repetition, bro.
It's a lot of the things that we talk about, when it comes to sleep patterns and eating healthy and exercise. Our eat better, sleep better, move better really applies to this as well.
It really does. You're just building as many barricades as you can, towards those depressive feelings and lifestyle that comes along with it. Yeah. Cool.
So the big thing we wanted to talk about, we actually just had one arrive in the mail. I believe Kim ordered this.
Kim, did you get that?
Yeah, I did.
So it's called a Happy Light. It's light therapy. And this is from Verilux. Is that how you say that?
They make a bunch of stuff. Verilux does.
Yeah, they have a
Kim, did you get sponsored by these people?
No, I didn't.
Are you?
No.
Okay.
They don't pay us anything, Kim?
No, not yet. Let's see how this
So
podcast goes.
Yeah, really.
They have a whole bunch of different versions. The one we have is the Happy Light Lumi. It's an LED light therapy lamp. So the whole idea behind this is, let's say you are stuck in work. Let's say you're stuck in an office with no window. So you really don't have a great way of getting enough sunlight during the day. You can buy one of these Happy Lights or something similar to it. And the idea, and they're all different, keep this in mind. I believe the one we have says, between 30 minutes and an hour per day being in front of the light, at least 6 inches away. But I've seen some that say, between 20 minutes to 2 hours, you can have one of these lights lit up. And I think we're going to have a video. We'll have a quick video on YouTube just showing what ours looks like, because I know you can't see it here on the podcast. So we'll show you what it looks like. But it's just something you set on your desk, flip it on for a certain amount of time during the day. Mm-hmm. Depends on what you need that day. They also say, judge by how you're feeling. So if you're starting to feel that issue, hey, make sure you break it out, turn it on for a while.
And it's basically like sunlight.
It's just a light.
It's supposed to be just like being outside, or as close to it as.
Yeah, I'll have to try it out.
Without the UV rays, right? Basically.
Correct. So you're not getting that UV. You don't have to put any on your sunscreen while you have it on.
Yeah.
So, and the whole idea, it's supposed to mimic the sunlight. And so I know we didn't want to get too far into the biochemistry.
Right.
But.
Here we go.
Serotonin helps with your mood.
It's true.
And then melatonin helps you sleep. So that sunlight's going to help with both of those. So it's going to increase your mood and also help you sleep better when the time comes.
Because they're produced as a byproduct of light.
I didn't know melatonin was.
They both are.
That's interesting.
There's several.
To me. Well, yes.
And then so like I said, I'll have that on the video. You can kind of see what it looks like. One other thing that we don't have, but I thought was very interesting, it's called a Dawn stimulator.
So Dawn?
DAWN.
Stimulator.
Simulator. Sorry.
I'm
not sure what I said, but
you
simulator.
You said stimulator.
Ooh, well, that's a whole other thing.
Yeah, some woman named Dawn in here, like, get up.
Yeah. Wake up. Yeah. So this is the opposite of that.
Leave us alone, Dawn.
This is the opposite of that. So instead of having an alarm clock that blares when it's time to get up, this Dawn simulator is kind of like this light, but it slowly emits brighter and brighter light. So whatever time you set it for, it'll be this really dim light. And then as time goes on, it gets brighter and brighter. It's kind of like the sun rising.
That's really cool.
At dawn. So a dawn simulator. So I need to look more into that, but I caught a glimpse of that when I was reading, and so I thought that might be something else.
Yeah, I don't get that. We just get screaming kids leaping onto our bed. That's our simulator. Like, oh, it's time to wake up. There's a screeching child.
But you could even use that like in your office if you wanted to, right? The dawn
You already
simulator.
know it was dawn, Kim, because you're at work.
But if you're in a dark office.
Who's in a dark office?
People without windows?
I don't know. Well, I think the idea is
Kim,
that
I
guess it
rolled my eye
depends
out of my head,
if you're going to take a nap in your office,
Yeah.
because then it'll slowly wake you. The
That's
idea
true.
is
That's a good point.
The idea is that it's not going to make you jump and
Blast
wake
you right in the
suddenly.
mouth,
It's going to slowly allow you to wake up with
Okay.
natural.
that's pretty
Maybe
cool.
I'm thinking about it differently. Okay.
That's why it's called a dawn simulator.
It's a simulator, Kim,
Of dawn. Okay.
Of dawn.
All right.
not the dish soap.
Not the dawn treader.
All right, very good. Very good. What else we got?
When should somebody be seeking help for this?
If you are having trouble doing the stuff that you normally do, Like if you're like, okay, I normally exercise, or I am not exercising that often, but more often than not I am, or you find yourself canceling plans, you find yourself not having the energy just to do basic stuff. When it starts messing with your activities of daily living, then you better call somebody. Call us, call whoever you need to call, because you need to get some help. As soon as you're making changes to your life as a function of that, you need to start letting people know, like, man, this is really tough for me. And it could be that simple. It's just talking to somebody about it. And when it starts to doing stuff that is starting to hurt your own well-being, then you need to make sure you're talking to somebody more. It's that simple.
Can chiropractic help with this?
I don't know that there's a study out there that talks about it. There's lots and lots of anecdotal stuff, but there's no documented, case study that I have seen.
But when you get an adjustment, it releases endorphins, right?
The side effect of most cervical adjusting, there is a change in endorphins and in hormones. For this practice, I would say that our most reported side effect of people beginning care that they didn't begin care for is that they have quit their antidepressants. That's probably the one. Hey, doc, it's crazy, but I'm not taking antidepressants anymore. I'm like, oh, wow, that's great. Good for you, man. That's cool. Did you talk to your doctor about it? It's not something we mess around with. But, man, I've heard it a million times.
Yeah.
There's one doctor used to practice down in St. Louis, and he taught at Logan for a little bit. He would tell people, like, bring your antidepressants in, throw them in this bucket. He kept this big old bucket on his desk. People are like, what the hell is that? You're like, that's a bucket of antidepressants. People quit. Like, oh, I quit mine too. I'll throw mine in there. I can't imagine what kind of uproar that would cause now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that is an expensive bucket.
Oh, yeah.
Just a bucket full of drugs on your front desk. Yeah. What's this? Oh, that's our bucket full of drugs. Okay, well, you're going to jail. It's not like a fine one.
Make sure you
find a penny, take it, need a penny. You know what I'm saying?
Set your alarm too.
With your drugs.
Somebody coming in and stealing those.
I know.
Jeez.
All right, that's what we've got. Nice and simple. Just an informative little podcast for people who are feeling, maybe you feel all alone. Maybe you're like, I'm having these feelings. I don't know what to do. This is what's going on. 1, you're perfectly justified in having these feelings. It's natural. It's normal. You're okay. 2, do what we say. Get some exercise. Follow any of Dr. Mauer's suggestions. If that's not working, or when that's working, give somebody a call. Check in with people. And if you need to go take it further than that, then do so. Do whatever it takes. The season's just starting. It is going to be a cold, terrible winter.
Long
but if we get our procedures in place now, we can do this. We can do this. It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. We're going to beat COVID. We're going to beat this winter. It's okay. We're going to make it. But let's put the stuff in place to get us through this, okay? So if people have any questions about that, make sure they give me a call. All right. Kimberly, anything for the people?
No.
Dr. Maurer?
I don't think so. I'm sure we can put out a list too of a lot of the
we'll
natural
put on the
remedies.
website.
And I didn't even cover all of them, so we can have a list of all the natural remedies to work towards this.
We'll have a work group or something in the office.
Yeah.
Bring people in and make them exercise.
We'll have a
throw
session.
up.
Yeah.
We're like, now you're better. Like, no, now I hate you. Like, okay, but you're not sad.
That's exactly right.
All right. So for myself, for Dr. Matt, wherever he is suffering, for Dr. Maurer, and for Miss Kimberly, we will talk to you in 2 weeks. Thanks very much. Bye.
And a big thank you goes out to Hug Monster Sound for somehow allowing the doctors' voices to sound even better than they already do.